Hello, Las Vegas. My name is Mel Tiller, and it's always a pleasure being with you. I love it when you join us. My guest today is a young lady who is doing some fabulous things in the Las Vegas Valley. Her name is Whitney Mcintosh. Whitney, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello.
So, Whitney, you are the founding principal of Young Women's Leadership Academy of Las Vegas.
That's me. That's me. I am. We're here. We just opened and we are here.
Okay, so tell me, how long have you been open?
Yeah. So we initially opened August 15th is when we opened our doors. And so we've only been open a few months. This is our very first school year, the 2022-2023 school year. But this has been in the work for a really long time. So we went back 3 years ago is when we actually started doing the work to open the school. And then the pandemic hit. And so, of course, when the pandemic hit, that kind of slowed progress because opening a school in the middle of the pandemic might not have been like the best decision. And so we waited until post the pandemic and the slowdown of the pandemic to open our doors so that we can welcome students in our building and really build the type of community where young women and gender expansive youth, and even though our school is open to anyone, so young men can apply, but where they feel comfortable and feel connected to a community, because we believe that's when young women prosper, when they're within their community.
Okay, so this is an academy basically or essentially for women, young women. Tell me the grades that you all service.
Yeah, so long term, so what we're doing is something called a slow growth model, but long term will be 6th through 12th grade.
Okay.
And this year we're 6th grade and 9th grade. And then every year we roll up one grade level. So next year will be 6th and 7th grade, 9th and 10th grade. And then we'll continue to grow until we're 6th through 12th. And our model is based out of New York. So our schools come from New York, part of this organization called the Student Leadership Network. And so there's 26 schools. All of our schools have had 100% college acceptance rate over the course of the last 26 years now.
Wait a minute. You're saying all of your schools, how many schools are we talking about?
26 schools over the last 25 years.
26 schools, and all of the kids have gotten into college.
Have gotten into college, 100%.
100% from 26 different schools.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's pretty amazing. Tell me why. Why a school for all girls? And do you focus on young girls of color? Are you having predominantly young white girls? Tell me how this works out.
Yeah, definitely. I think a few things. So one, yep, we've been able to do it for the last 10 years. We're really open to any young woman or really anyone. So technically, young men can attend, young women can attend. Our model is just that we teach using a whole girl education model. And then knowing that we teach through that lens, if you feel that it's a really great fit for you, then someone can apply. So we're a charter school.
So tell me what that model is. Tell me what the concepts of that model is, and how that model differs from some other models.
That's true. I think what makes us unique, I think the first thing that makes us unique outside from our model is that we're the first school in the city to be supported by a gaming industry. So the Sands, we have the CEO of the Sands on our board and the legal counsel of the Sands on our board. And so we're the very first school ever in the state to be able to do that. And so one, we're just grateful for that. And I think that talks about the resources that we have coming in from our city to our scholars here in our community. We're located on the east side of Las Vegas. So like I said, anybody can come, but predominantly our scholars are Black and Latino young women is predominantly who we serve. So we're about 40% African-American, 40% Latino, Hispanic, and then about 20% a mixture of all other identities. I think this is a school for young women by young women. And so we're a new school, right? So we do have our pillars, which I'll talk about in a second, which is the whole girl education model, but it's also founding work. So we're looking for young women that are passionate about entrepreneurship, passionate about wanting to make their imprint in the world. And so our vision is all about voice, connection, and imprint. And so when our girls come to us, the very first thing that we start working on is how do we build a connection between them amongst each other and build a community where women have traditionally torn each other down And how do we take that and build a community amongst the young women? And how do we also build a community amongst the young women and the teaching staff that are here? And so a part of that model is every morning. Have you ever heard of Harambe?
No.
So it's this concept where individuals gather in the morning, they set the tone for the day, and it's an African tradition. However, what we do is we do something called Morning Circle that's similar to that, where we bring all of our young women in together and we talk about this concept of community and what does it mean to be a part of our community? What are we working on as a community? What are we celebrating as a community? What are the highlights for the week? And just really reinforce and setting the tone of the day together as in a circle where everybody can be seen. There's no one person's more important than the other. It's a circle, it's a community. And so we do that every morning, and then we end the day. So we're like bookending our days. We end the day with this concept called advisory. And advisory, the things that we focus on is being college bound. So you go back to like, how are you getting 100% college acceptance? Well, we pair our students with a college counselor as early as 6th grade. So our 6th graders sit down with a college counselor every single day. And so like when you're exposed to things, because one of the things about our community.
So what are they talking about every day? I mean, I love the idea, but if they're sitting down, so are they sitting down individually with a college counselor, or are they sitting down in a group with a college counselor?
Correct.
And what are they talking about every day?
I think it's everything. So, like this concept of wraparound services, we have pillars where we talk about our whole girl education model. Our focus is voice, connection, and imprint. So one, they build a connection when they come in together every day. So they actually do something which is like a PBIS, a positive behavior intervention system, where they also do something called circles, not the circle that we do in the morning, but it's called circles. And these circles are restorative circles where we talk about what are their needs. And so some of these are needs that are very specific to young women. Some of it is just like there's something that's happening in the school or something that happens at home that we give them a space to talk. So we're making sure that they know that they have a safe place here and everybody has an adult that they're connected with. And now I'm connected with my peers because I'm sharing vulnerable stuff around them. And so now I'm connected with them. So we focus on connection, and then we focus on something called imprint. So every advisory group has to make an imprint on the campus in some type of way. They get to decide what that imprint project is, and then they actually execute it. So it might be I'm planning a school dance. It might be we're taking over a bulletin board. It might be I'm giving some tours to an individual, but every group has something where they then make their mark. And so our thought process is if I'm connected to somebody and I also am making an imprint in this space, then this is my space. I feel at home, right? And then when I feel at home and I feel connected, I'm going to use my voice more. And so it's all these things of like, if I'm now using my voice, there's more of a chance long-term that I'm going to be not only a self-advocate, but I'll be an advocate in the community because now I feel empowered to use my voice. I'm connected to these people. I've made a mark in this place. I'm empowered to use my voice. So that's one piece. And then we do these things where they do different college projects. So it might be like a college trip. It might be a lesson on what does it mean to be a first generation college student? A lot of our scholars are going to be first generation. I'm a first generation college student, So what does it mean to be that? What is college exposure? What are the colleges around us? What are other colleges that use a whole girl type education model like Bernard College, like Sarah Lawrence, that are similar to ours? And then what are other colleges that are in our community that are historically HBCUs? What are historically Latin community colleges, which no one talks about the historically Latin community colleges? Like what are those schools and how do I get access to them? And so they start having those conversations early on. Sometimes we bring in visitors like the 100 Black Men to come speak to scholars. We bring in organizations like Chase Brain. We bring in organizations like Junior Achievement. So they start talking about funding sources. And then other times they're using that time to do proposals. So like, for example, we have scholars, they're like, okay, we want to do a food store and sell different snacks. So scholars are not liking what we have for lunch. And so they come up with the solution for it. I'm like, great, what's your solution? Who are you surveying? So they're surveying each other. Okay, how are you going to put this together? Like, what is your budget? Okay, now work with Junior Achievement, work with Chase Bank to set up your bank account. Work with Junior Achievement to build your building plan, and then come back to me. And then
setting up a bank account in 6th grade. Setting up a bank account in 6th grade.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I love that. Talk to me about voice. You talked about voice. You explain that, please.
Yeah, I think voice is a lot of different things. One is like, are they actually using their voice to communicate with each other? And then the second part is like, are you using your voice in a way that builds self-advocacy? Is the other things that we talked about. And then we also talk about like inside voice every morning. Are you using your voice to build confidence in yourself, to love on yourself, to pour into yourself so that you are in a right mental state? And then when they do have challenges, which they do, how are you using your voice when you are frustrated and when you are angry? And one, what leadership skills already exist in this student in this moment? And then how can we craft those leadership skills? So it's different with every student. Sometimes I'm using my voice because like I need a reset and I need to talk to this teacher. Like I need to go to a safe place in the school because I need a reset. Other times I'm losing my voice because I need to change something in my campus and I want to have a conversation with my school leader and my teachers about something that I want to change in campus. So one of the projects that the students came up with is they used their voice because we didn't have a library. We're a brand new school. Like I said, it's a school for entrepreneurs and founders. They decided that they wanted a library. And so they reached out using their voice to this organization called the Beehive and was like, hey, Beehive, like we like to do this library, connected with them to get library materials. They reached out to their teachers and got paint donated so that they can paint the library. And then
And
they're
they
now
actually painted.
they do the physical painting.
The students themselves actually, they got the paint donated and they went there and they painted.
And created the design and got the design approved by myself. So yeah, they go through all the stages of things that we do as adults, but in a controlled environment where we're able to coach them along the way. Because then it's going to be more sustainable, right? As they exit into the community, because they've practiced this so much longer. And I think it goes to a little bit of what we were talking about earlier, which was like, how do you get them to be professional? You give them opportunities to practice professionalism early on. And you give them opportunities to fail and learn from those lessons, right? Of like, oh, like you tried to do this and like, well, what are the steps that you missed? So like our girls had been planning a dance for literally 2 months. They wanted to do this dance. They wanted to do this dance and they could never get off ground. And finally I'm like, okay, so what are you all going to do? How are you going to divide and conquer it? And they were the ones that kept saying like, oh, we got to push it back. We're not ready. Oh, we got to push it back. We're not ready. All right. So what are you going to do to fix this? But if we don't let them go through that process, they never learn the event planning skills that it takes to put on an event.
Talk to me about the leadership principles that you all adhere to.
So ours is just there's 11 practices that we use in our whole girl education model. So they're not
Okay.
necessarily how do you say principles?
Yes,
They're more
leadership principles.
so practices. There's practices that we use around like cultural competency embedded into the education. We talked about imprint, we talked about voice, we talked about connection. But it's things like that. But then the other flip side is we do have values, and our values are called our pride values. And our pride values are professionalism, respect, integrity, diligence, and enthusiasm. So like coming to your space joyful, especially when school's not sometimes the favorite place to be, but like bring enthusiasm to your work. And when you are working, work with diligence. And I always tell them, like, once a task has begun, you don't finish until it's done. We do our things with diligence. We work with integrity. And so we talk to them about like, how does that play into me as a person having integrity, but also how does that play into the work that I do?
Talk to me about the circles in the morning. Who leads those circles?
So I start them off, but we start off with a chant. So there's this chant that we do every morning. It's called Calling All Scholars. And so there's a scholar that leads the chant. She calls them from the cafe to the front. I'll start them off, greet them good morning, go over priorities, but then it's teachers and a mixture of scholars. Scholars will sometimes come and ask me like, say, hey, I have an announcement that I need to make because we're doing this project and I want to make an announcement to the rest of the peers. So the students may lead a portion of the circle, teachers may lead a portion of the circle, and then myself. So it's a combination of everyone because we are a community. It's a combination of everyone.
I have a daughter, and if she were in school, this sounds like something I would absolutely want her to be a part of. Somebody listening to our show wants to know how to get their child into your school. Please give us your contact information.
Yeah, you can reach us a few different ways. You can honestly email myself, which is WMCINTOSH@YWLALV.org. So that's W Mcintosh at YWLALV for Las Vegas.org. And then you can always call my phone number. I don't ever mind giving my phone number out. My phone number is 352-502-8132. The best way to reach me is through text message, and then I'll always follow up and respond within 24 hours if you shoot me a text message. And with that, you can always come to the school and do a tour. If you go to our website, it's www.ywlalv.org. And then as soon as you get to the site, there's a pop-up and you can register for a tour, and we'll take you on a tour at our campus at 3415 South Mojave Road.
So, why is this necessary? Why is it necessary to have a school that primarily focuses on young Black women?
I think for a lot of reasons. And it's just a lot. It's everything right now. Our community's under a shift, a transition right now. And nationally, one of the things that we have to remember is that, sorry, I'm trying to put this on mute. One of the things that we have to remember is that if we don't serve the most underserved in our nation and in our community, then what are we going to produce later? And who's going to help take care of us and take care of this nation when we're gone? If we don't produce individuals that can be competitive, not only on a national level, but also on a global level. Right now, African-American women, I'm speaking for myself, not for our school. Right now, African-American women, and I would say African-American men, actually, can I just tell a story?
Yes.
2 weeks ago, I was sitting down and I'm having a conversation with two friends of mine. There were two males and two women, and we're having this conversation, and the conversation began to shift in a direction where it was about, it to me, it was like this us versus them concept, right?
Yes.
And for me, the only way that we can change community is if we come together and we work together.
Yes.
And to do that, first, we have to do that from the inside. African-American women right now, at least from my experiences, there's a lot of pulling away and tearing apart of each other. First, we got to get ourselves together. And then once we get ourselves together, then we reach out to the men and we come together with the men as well. Once we get our community together, then we reach out to other communities and bring them together. But at some point, there has to be alignment as a nation. There has to be alignment amongst people of your same gender. There has to be alignment amongst people of your same race. And we have to be open to understanding and hearing things that are different than what we think, and understand that there can be duality of more than one thing or two things happening at the same time, and both can be true. But before we do that, we first have to create a safe haven. We have to empower the community. And specifically right now, we're doing that work for young women. Granted, our school's open to anyone. But we got to empower the community, and we got to start making a change. I'm really frustrated about outrage culture right now. We need culture that comes together.
Yes.
When we have an right?
Yes.
When we're sitting in the middle of the pandemic and literally every state is doing something different around how they handle the pandemic. To me, I'm not even thinking about like what the decision is around how we handle the pandemic, but the fact that there was no alignment in our nation. And
Yes.
so we got to start with our young women, right? And that's my locus of control. There's someone else that can do it with young men. There's someone else that can do it with other communities. But like, I know that I can work with young women and bring young women together. And hopefully if we could all continue to do that and create a positive impact, we can see some change in this nation. But we got to start somewhere. So I'm going to start with my corner of the world that I can affect change in, and then hopefully see these girls begin to help that escalate and cause a ripple effect, because we got to get some things back into alignment.
I know that you all have just started, but tell me about some of the impact that you're seeing that your school is having on these young women.
Yeah. And I wish we had some young women here to talk about it right now, because it's their impact, right? It's their stories.
I'll tell you what, next time you come back, let's have some of your young women on the show. I'd love that, and we'll do that very soon. But tell me about the impact that you're having on these kids.
Thank you. Some of the things that our young women have shared is, one, I think just clarity of career path. But even more so in first year, I think it's confidence. I'm seeing so much confidence and growth in our young women. We have one young girl who has cerebral palsy, and her mom has just, like, she cries at parent meetings saying how much she's seen her daughter grow in such a short amount of time, that the mom now works for the school. She literally was like, I want to work here. Yeah, for the work that we're doing. And so I think, one, seeing our children have an impact on their families' lives is one of the biggest things, but it's the confidence that they're building. Others, just with their career paths and having real conversations with them about what could be possible for their future, I think is having a big impact on them, because they're able to set that goal and then start working towards it. But right now, it's confidence. We've built a lot of confidence in these young women. And when you're confident, you can do anything.
I love what I'm hearing. I'm going to leave you with the last word. What would you like to leave our listening audience with?
Just gratitude for listening, gratitude for letting us come into this community and serve, gratitude for welcoming me to the city. I am a transient to Vegas. I am originally from Florida, so gratitude for that. And then just excited about what the future holds. And again, this is a school for young women by young women.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have thoroughly enjoyed this interview. Our young people are special. I know what the narrative is. I hear the narrative every day. Do not fall for the okie doke. Our children are special. And when we focus on them, we focus on their growth. When we teach them the right values, the right principles, the right concepts, these children will fly. 100% of these children have gotten into college. Why? Because somebody cared, because somebody understood how to educate, how to train, how to motivate, how to inspire. Everything rises and falls on leadership. When our children do not do well, we must accept responsibility. And when our children are not doing well, we need to find a way to put them in an environment that nourishes them, teaches them, motivates them, causes and facilitates their growth. Our children are among the greatest people on the face of this planet. Our Black women are the most beautiful women on this planet. Our Black women are some of the smartest and strongest and most capable women on this planet. We need to understand that when they do not succeed at that exceptional level, then it's our fault. And we have to find those vehicles that will help those children optimize their abilities. And that's what's happening at the Young Women's Leadership Academy of Las Vegas. If you get a chance, go by. If you get a chance, talk to Whitney, talk to her staff, talk to the kids, because there are solutions. And many times we feel like there are no solutions. There are solutions, and Whitney and the Young Women's Leadership Academy of Las Vegas, they're providing solutions. They're showing the way. I am so thrilled. Whitney, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. What they see is what they'll be, and that's Keeping It 100.